talking all things theatre and events.
Just a bit of a summer hobby. Decided to see if we could start a venue.
And day by day, you kind of saw the realization of quite how serious this was. And several, week after week of company meetings where
there's people, they're coming, they want to see theatre, they're missing it like we are.
The Stage Is Yours podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Stage Is Yours podcast with me, your host Cal Graham, joined as always by producer Dan, and we're talking all things theatre and events. Today we're joined by Anna Saunders, creator and founder of Not on the West End. We talk a little bit about her career and the amazing success that Not on the West End has been, along with a lot more theatre chat as well. Anna Saunders, the stage is yours. Join us on the podcast today. We've got Anna Saunders, owner, founder, creator of Not on the West End. How are you?
Hey there, I'm really good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. In a strangely warm Edinburgh. It's not supposed to be this warm. It's like 14 degrees and it was nice and sunny yesterday as well. So I'm kind of thinking spring's a little early, but I'm not complaining. Anyway, so let's chat a little bit about yourself. So what is it in kind of, or would you normally be doing should it not be a global pandemic?
In the before times, you mean?
In the before times, yes. In the
before times, I was wardrobe deputy at 9 to 5 in the West End.
Nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So obviously things are very different. So before that, were you involved in other productions? Have you always kind of been in and around wardrobe? Has that kind of always been your jam, as it were?
Yeah, I've been wardrobe and dressing and all of that for many a year. I think I'm in year 14. I'm not sure if we count this last year.
I'm hoping we don't count it. I'd quite like it back and just knock a year off my age at the same time and then just get it back. That'd be nice because, well, we are literally just over a year. It was since it all started. But
yeah, it's been both the longest and quickest year of my life.
Yeah, it's gone really quick that we're back at a year. I mean, myself, our group chat perked back up on the 14th going, well, it's a year since we last did the show. Hope you're all right. And we're like, is it really a year since we closed in Wimbledon? Yeah. And I don't quite know where it's gone.
Yeah, it's very strange having that thought of actually going, all this time has passed and I'm absolutely sure I could still go back and do my dressing track without thinking about it.
Yeah, I would like
That last show, I was covering one of our dressers, but it was my old track from when I was male ensemble dresser for 9 to 5. I think I could still do that preset right now.
Yeah, we were sat, so we were lucky in the sense that the show we were on was shown on the BBC on Christmas Day when we filmed it. So we were all kind of sat there, and you were kind of sat there going, I'll be doing this right now. I'll be doing that. This is about Q, whatever. And you're just sat there going, yeah, I'll be doing this. This is what I should be doing. And it was quite funny. We were all just kind of sat there going, I'm sat doing the show in my head, not watching it.
Yeah, the weird. 9 to 5 did a live cast recording, so it sounds just like the show. And my sister was playing it in another room of the flat, and I just heard the thing, and I was like,
I'm supposed to be
doing a cue. No, it's fine.
Yeah, PTSD. This is a busy bit. Quick, I should be. Yeah.
Gets your heart rate suddenly going, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. You just kind of have these flashbacks to I should be doing something now, but no, sadly not. It's just, it's been a very, very strange year. So how have you kind of found it? Really, have you kind of managed to kind of keep yourself somewhat sane? I think
somewhat sane is probably an accurate representation, not completely, but somewhat. I think I've been very fortunate with the position I've been in. Just things like our flat has a big garden, so that whole first lockdown when everybody was feeling so enclosed when the sun was shining, I had a hammock. Things were fine. ATG kept us furloughed through until the end of July, which, considering our show was due to close in May, we were pleasantly surprised about. So for that first stint, it was fine. Like, difficult in the ways that everybody was finding things difficult, but generally fine. I've been very fortunate that I actually managed to get back into a theatre for a few days. In December, I was the head of wardrobe for A Christmas Carol at the Dominion. So just that brief blast of having some theatre in my life, even though we did officially open on the Monday night and officially close on the Tuesday night. It was, those little heartbreaking moments, but having the opportunity to get back into a theatre and just the little noises, like hearing the orchestra warm up and tune up, and you can hear the audience through the show relay. There's people, they're coming, they want to see theatre, they're missing it like we are. Those little moments have kept me going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's we keep getting these glimmers, and it kept getting knocked back in kind of that early part of, we're coming out of lockdown, or we could not, and we had the brief little bit in September of kind of things, and then again in December, to the point that things did open, and then unfortunately not quite. But hopefully this time, for the third time lucky, that will be kind of it, and things will move forward from there, hopefully. So
fingers crossed.
Anyway, enough doom and gloom, because I feel like it's something we've all talked an awful lot of over the last 12 months as it is now. Let's talk about Not on the West End. How did it come to be? Is it just something that just happened, really?
It is, to a weird extent, something that just kind of happened. I would say the initial thought came from Costume Professionals Appreciation Day, which is kind of end of July-ish, that is kind of partially set up by the Costume in Theatre, Entertainment and Arts Association, which I'm now part of. But the thing of, I normally, for this day that we kind of celebrate mostly on social media, and people have a fun day going, oh, look, isn't it nice, costume people? I normally write a little message to actors, and it's normally things like, you know, when you put your chewing gum into our bare hand because you've forgotten you've got it in and you're about to go on stage, that's one of the reasons why you should appreciate us. Like, look, mostly it's little jokey things of being like, you know, when you leave your jock strap curled up so it looks like a croissant. We have to unroll that. That's
stuff we have to deal with.
This time I was like, well, we're not around at the moment. So I was like, almost every dresser, you know, every wardrobe person, you know, will be selling masks on Etsy. Find your dresser from the last show you did, find their Etsy, buy yourself some reusable masks. And kind of, but also looking around and seeing all my friends that I knew in the industry had turned their talents to other venues, their creativity being used in lots of different ways, and kind of wanting to figure out a way that we could support each other. Like, whilst the industry might be shut down, the community of it didn't need to be. So I had the kind of thought going, someone should do that. Someone should figure out a way to make that work. And I had a kind of 2 a.m. thought of going, not on the West End, like not on the high street, but it's a joke because none of us have jobs anymore. And I was like, right, okay, now that I've got that sorted, we can do this.
It's done. There it is.
So it's an Instagram, and there's a Facebook, and there's a Twitter, but we don't really post very much because it's a visual kind of a medium that we're doing. And let's face it,
Twitter just confuses us all anyway. No one really, I don't think anyone really understands how Twitter works.
Exactly. Twitter is there for other people to have arguments. It is not for us to discuss the joys of wiggies that now make candles. There's joy to be had, and whilst social media is not the place for much joy at all, supporting small businesses is one thing that we can do.
Absolutely. I think it was great to see it, and kind of people started hearing about bits and things, and it's like you said, everyone just kind of started turning their hands to something they'd kind of thought about, or they've gone, this could be my side hustle when I've had enough and I'd do that. And I think a lot of people just jumped all over it. And I think the sheer range of stuff that suddenly appeared is ridiculous, really.
It absolutely is. Just in the like the first 100 people who signed up, which shocked me at the speed that I got them, of just being like, oh, everyone just telling their friends.
Yeah.
But you're kind of going, right, just from this group of people, we've got the different ranges of kind of backstage, on stage, production office jobs. We've covered so many things, but also the fact that we've got people who are like engravers, as I meant, candle makers, people like making sewing patterns that you can then download and make your own stuff from. There's like carpenters and just people who are nail technicians, like as a side thing to what they normally do, but now they're making up the nails to post out to people to put on themselves. Just the different layers that we've got. Personal trainers. It's doing training via Zoom. It's the diversity of businesses is really impressive. It's not just anymore, like, it's not just that initial thought of, well, there are wardrobe people making masks, there are people making just genuine beautiful art.
Absolutely. And like, all you've got to do is just start scrolling through your Instagram feed, or the pages Instagram feed, and you just see this just vast range of things. And you've only got to look at it as to, I mean, from a personal thing of the show that I'm involved in at the moment, from LX number one making genuinely like desk lamps and creative things like that, being a carpenter as well. He's got much stick for.
Who is this?
It's Rich Hoxley. So it's
I have one of his lamps right next to me.
I mean, like,
I love
and
it.
he's just doing that, and he kind of joked. He made lots of
craftsmanship.
And he made lots of jokes. I'm an electrician, yeah, I'm working with wood. It feels a little bit weird, but like things like that, to our head of wardrobe making stained glass things and starting to do stuff with that. And it's just, and there's such a wide variety and everything in between. And that's just the show that we're involved with. And you've got that hundreds of times over with the amount of shows that are out there, and everyone doing.
Yeah, I think when trying to find positives of this last year, there have been people who've just had the time to give their idea a try. And there are some people who've gone, no, I think this is it. This is the thing that makes me happy. And there are some people that are going, well, this will keep me going until we're back. And both things are kind of beautiful. People have been able to use those skills and those talents and that creativity to keep them going or re-inspire them, or all of those things. And I think that's what the theatre community can also kind of show. Like, there's a level of kind of grit and determination to it at the same time as going, but look, it's a beautiful flower wreath.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's something that we all say, but I don't think we all admit that we say, is that the show must go on in some way, shape, or form. So we're just ingrained in that mentality that we still need to do something creative, and we can't not have something creative. And I think we all struggle to sit around and do nothing for more than a few days.
It's that thing we said earlier, just if you're sitting still, you go, have I missed a cue?
Yeah.
should I be doing something else?
Yeah, am I not normally doing something? Yeah, it's very, very strange in that sense. And the first lockdown was the weirdest time ever. And obviously, because it just kept kind of getting extended, we were all kind of sat waiting to be told, yeah, fine, we're opening in Southampton next week. Come on down, we're back, we're done. So we're all kind of sat there waiting and just going, well, that, and just slowly things just getting knocked off. And then we were supposed to tour to South Korea as well. So obviously with South Korea still having their shows, because they never closed their theatres. So there was still kind of this, is it not? And it was so weird of this kind of thing of going, well, Phantoms ran out there for the entire time. And we were like, because that was in September, September we were going. So we were like, oh, it might be over by then. Maybe, but obviously not. So we were all kind of like, yeah, so we were guided to, and we kind of just got into the stride of our tour as well. We kind of just left London, as it were. So we're out in the thick of it. But yeah, so it's a strange, 2020 is the year we all planned. I think, obviously, no one ever, you could have predicted it, but it turned into a strange old year. So has the success of the page surprised you at all in terms of how well it
yes,
has done?
it was. I initially was like, well, this is just a thing that, to an extent, I was like, well, if I can get all these people together, then when it gets around to Christmas, I can send the link to my mum and say, buy something from any of these. I'll be fine. You're supporting the industry. Don't care what it is. Buy me something. And then by the time we got round to Christmas, there were more than 400 businesses signed up, and like more than 6,000 people following the Instagram. And I was a bit like, I didn't really know that this was a thing that I could do. But then there's the flip side of not really being surprised, because it's only positive. There's people like you're just sharing the work of your friends and other theatre professionals and colleagues, and there's that level of hope of going, oh, there's the nosy aspect of going, well, what's everybody else been up to?
Yeah.
And people do want to support each other. We are a community, so
yeah, absolutely.
The fact that we have come together and kind of we do want to support each other isn't a surprise. The fact that it kind of all, I'm not someone who understands social media and knows how to really make things work and the business behind it. I just kind of went, this'll do, and it has worked. So that's definitely been a surprise.
Yeah, I think it was, you just touched on it there. There's that thing of everyone going, well, we've all had this time. What's everyone else been doing with these months of time to kind of what they're doing with themselves? So there's a little bit of that. And then, yeah, like you said, there was a lovely moment in the first lockdown when everyone just kind of dumped all the theatre they had online. So stuff that had been filmed for years ago and purely just to sit as an archive thing. So they went, well, let's just throw all of this out there for that. So shows that people might not have got to see with certain people in it and things like that. There was this kind of moment of going, okay, we are all in this together.
And it did happen so quickly. I was talking about it with my flatmates last night because the year's just gone, and we went, so we shot on that Monday. On the Friday, Eugenius had put their show up for live streaming. It had taken them 4 days. And you're going, oh, okay. I guess this is what we're doing then.
It was amazing that just suddenly all the stuff, and everyone was in it, regardless of whether it was the tiny little kind of small company who have done maybe 2 or 3 things to, I mean, the National through a mountain of stuff available out there, and you're like, oh, okay, so we genuinely are. And I think that everyone, for a lot of people, they went, okay, it is, we're all in this together. So it's not a case of, okay, there's still 1 or 2 shows going on here and there. It's from that. And then there was the brief moment with Sleepless in Seattle that kind of did a sort of, I saw it. Sort of amazing. I was there the same night as Andrew Lloyd Webber. It was very confusing. And you were kind of like, oh, okay, so, and that was my kind of thing. Okay, that's it. There's the blueprint for it to happen. And I was like, but if that's at Wembley and it's a nice new open spacious theatre, not
the size of that foyer is insane.
I was like, that's the perfect theatre for a COVID distance show. If it had been anywhere else, I'm not sure it would have worked. Knowing many theatres around the country and the West End going, social distance, not a thing on that staircase or through there. So it was a strange old time, but that moment when we were kind of, there were lots of moments where we were like, okay, we are all in this together, and it kind of, it's, I don't want to say dragged on, but I don't think any of us thought it would be a year, to say the least. No,
I managed to get back into the Savoy because I was sorting costumes, because 9 to 5 performed on Saturday Night Takeaway a couple of weeks ago, and I went back into wardrobe, and it was just everything exactly as we'd left it, like scarves on the backs of chairs, and kind of my notes book for the like repairs still just on the table with my biro flung on top of it, and like we'd done a reasonably good job of being like, well, I was my head of wardrobe was her float day that day, so she wasn't in, so I was the one in charge of the department all of a sudden, and I was like, right guys, first thing, I know we're all very upset, clear all your food out the fridge. And but still you go and you're like, oh well, there's just our stuff still there, because we never imagined a year later, you'd go, oh, well, actually, that's that jumper that I quite like, but I thought I'd be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was, yeah, and kind of setting it going, okay, we're back in that. So let's leave it in a sort of state so that we can come back and not have to kind of deal with the bomb site. Yeah, it was a strange one.
Yeah, everything's been covered with like dust sheets and moth things, but ultimately we can just rip it all off, chuck it in the bin, and off we go.
Yeah.
Ready for a preset. Everything's clean, everything's been ironed, we can go.
Yeah, it was strange. And being on tour was even weirder. So we were on obviously weekly moves. So we were kind of packing this truck going. It was the weirdest day ever. So we found out on the Monday night, we just finished our getting in Bradford as well, like literally on that Monday night. And some of us were sat in the hotel going that. And then the stage manager's phone goes and it's the general manager going, that's it, we're cancelled for that. And so we have to tell all these guys in Bradford that, okay, we're back in the next day, that all that stuff you've just put up, it's coming down, which was awkward enough as it was. And it was just the weirdest day ever that we were all kind of like, well, we don't really know. And when we were leaving Bradford, we were supposed to be kind of getting some stuff ready to go off, because obviously we were supposed to be touring in Asia. So we were like, okay, some stuff's going to be ready for that. So like, do we do it? Do we not? And then obviously hire trucks were kind of like, how do we pack it? And we all threw personals just straight back on. Everything was on because we were like, it's gonna be 3 weeks, fine, no worries. So tours on all of that, and and then it sat on wheels in trucks till sometime in June, maybe July, and then all the message starts going around. Okay, personal stuff. How do you want to go about getting it back? Like it was, and we were kind of the company stores are in Manchester, the offices are in London, but everyone's everywhere. So it was kind of like, okay, how do we go about getting it? So there was just it was weird. Yeah, it was one of the oddest days was that. I call it a loadout, but it wasn't. It was just strange. And none of us said goodbye either. We were kind of like, we'll see you in a few weeks, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But that was it. We're kind of like...
It's the change from going from seeing people 6 days a week. They are your friends, your family, everything. They're the people you socialize with. They're the ones you go out with after the show. They're the ones you go for your lunch with kind of between shows. They're the people. And then you go, oh, but you're someone who I saw 6 days a week, every week for more than a year and a half. And now I've not seen you in a year. And it just happens so quick.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. But I think, like I said, and we look at it now and we go, right, well, what are the positives to come out of it all? And Pages like Not on the West End is just one of those things where you kind of look at it and you go, our industry, yes, it's closed, but there's still so much going on and positive things to kind of come out of it, which has been, amazing to kind of look at and see, really.
The whole industry as well has taken this opportunity to kind of look at itself in a way that we've never had time for before. And through CETA, the Costume Association, I'm also now involved with APTAL, which is the Association of Alliances and Professionals in Theatre and Live Entertainment. A clunky name if ever you've heard one, but are doing great things and kind of bringing lots of groups together, like from professional associations and things like Scene Change and Freelancers Make Theatre Work, to try and so that we can all together as a group work to make the industry a better one when we go back, of like thinking more about things like sustainability and inclusion and like work-life balance and just working practices generally. And I think that's one of the other positives of being like, we've shown that we are resilient, we've shown that we can do this, but we're also coming together and going, we weren't perfect before. We can, I think the Production Managers Forum have a campaign at the moment that there is Reset Better. And I think that is one of the other positives. We're going to reset better. When we go back, we're going to be a better industry than we were before. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's one thing that we've all kind of realised, as much as the break was enforced, I think we all kind of somewhat needed it. But I think I looked at it and went, okay, this is the first time in about 10 years I've had more than, I think it was a week off in one go. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not a good thing, but and that was just what it was. I just bounced from job to job to job. So actually, yeah, and you're talking about various bits and pieces, and that I was talking a podcast that's not out yet with Rory Cormack, and he was talking about the West End Softball League that used to be a thing that's now not a thing because there's just more and more kind of things that become part of your contract. So they're kind of that free time to go and do things isn't necessarily there. So he was talking about that, and I was like, I'd never even heard of this. Like,
I only
and it
know
was
of
like-
it as a myth. I know that
yeah,
the West End bowling still happens,
okay,
and that is very competitive, but it only happens when Ivan de Freitas, who I think is currently in Anne Juliet, has the time to organise it, and it's
Yeah.
specifically him going, right.
it's happening.
It might be that he's a competitive bowler, but
Very possibly, but yeah. So he was talking about that, and I was like, those are the kind of things that should still be a thing, but unfortunately have that work-life balance has kind of
they
fallen
just
out of
eat
kilter
away at
slightly.
it, all of the fun
so-
extras.
So yeah, and I think that's absolutely something that looking forward is that, yeah, there are definitely things we can do better. And I think we've all just appreciated having the time to do these things that have always just been conversations. I think that's what like this podcast started out as a conversation on the back of a truck at 3:00 in the morning in Bristol as a joke about, we should just do it as funny stories from being on tour. And then and then it was like, well, you probably, maybe some of those stories might not want to be out in public kind of thing, and it just kind of came from there. And I was like, do you know what? I need to talk theatre, was how it started. And I was bored in lockdown. So,
I mean, I feel that urge to always talk theatre. I'm very lucky that the two people I live with are also theatre people. We are just every couple of hours, days, I'll just do that. Right, this is what we want to do with theatre. This is just programming our dream season at the National, and
and exactly, and it's just that thing, and it's one of those, and I was like, I just need to kind of that. And so that's what and I think that's what one thing from the lockdown was that, and Rory was the one who pointed out to me in the podcast that I did, hasn't been released yet, but he literally said, if you were still out on tour though, or working as you normally would, you would never had time to even create this and kind of chat to people and do bits and pieces and learn about things I never even was aware of, because
and now that you know how to do it and what you've got there, when you go back out on tour, you might be able to carry on.
Well, this
you
is
go,
the hope.
right,
This
well, I've done the hard bit of figuring out how to do it and set it up. Now it's much easier to continue.
I just have to find the time to sit and talk theatre for an hour or so.
But we're gonna reset better.
Exactly.
All of our lives are gonna have a better work-life balance. It's gonna be the whole new dream of only 2 session tech days.
Oh, that's a dream. Well, that is a dream, but
we can make it a reality.
Absolutely. Like I said, and that's great. And I think it's given us all a much better appreciation for what that is. And actually, it's quite nice to have some time that's not quite as pressurized and in that kind of world.
We can do better work in more time, in a healthier way.
Absolutely. And keep everyone much happier. And yeah, I think it is
remembering the health part of health and safety.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's jump into kind of the last kind of outro bit of our podcast. Everyone who comes on gets asked these same 3 questions. Some have turned out harder to answer than I thought they'd be. I actually asked the question without ever actually having thought about it myself, and then I sit on these podcasts and start to go, I don't know how I'd answer a couple of them, but that's just kind of what it is. So first one is, if you had a dream show that you could work on, that you could be a part of, what would that be? Is it just a particular time in that you would be like, if I could go back 30 years and be involved in that, that's where I would be? Or is it something that might not have even happened yet?
You've broadened out this question more than I was expecting.
Sorry,
if I could go back and work on any production that's previously existed.
Well, this was the thing, because again, blame Rory Cormack, because he was the one who brought it up. He said if he could go back to like the original Woodstock and do that. And I was like, I'd not even thought of that was it. Like, I was like, actually, if I could have gone back to like a Queen concert at Wembley and be there, I'd be like, actually, I hadn't even thought of that. But so this question keeps growing, and I'm like, I have
often thought of, well, the obvious use for time travel is to go back and see shows that you didn't get to see, or see shows that you only got to see once. And I've got that list sorted. I've got my tick list for, if I get the opportunity for that time machine, I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But I think, weirdly, if I'm going for any time, anything that I've previously worked on, I'd love to go back and do On the Town at Regent's Park. It was just, I mean, some of it was a living nightmare. It rained the whole way through tech. We had cast members dropping left, right and centre. I think our male swing covered every single track but 2, including some of the girls' tracks.
It's good going, to say the
Yeah.
least.
And having said that about Dream, what I would really love to do, this is again me wanting to program things at specific places. I want West Side Story at Regent's Park. Just imagine how beautiful it would be.
I mean, Regent Park is amazing, and I know Andy Beardmore, and the stuff that they
put in a good word.
And it's, I haven't spoken to him for a while actually, but and he normally gets massive. But I'm sure
I saw him a couple of days before we locked down because I was interviewing for the Avita deputy job.
Yes. I think Regent's Park, it's amazing. Well, they managed to do a few bits, didn't they? They've kind of reopened.
They did.
For a little
JCS got back on.
Yeah, which is amazing. So I think Regent's Park has its challenges being outdoor, but
oh yeah, without a doubt.
Lots. Well, especially with the English weather. At least it's not in Edinburgh and Scotland where you can get every single season in a day. I think is the joke. Vividly remember doing Meadows Festival one year, got absolutely soaked in the morning, and then got back to the warehouse afterwards and being sunburnt on one side of my face because I've been building the stage on one side going, I was soaked through this morning and now I've got home and I'm sunburnt on one side. I don't understand Scotland's weather, but that was always
working
joyous.
Outside has its challenges, but when it works, it's worth it.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll be doing a little bit more of it possibly in the short term as well.
Yeah.
So second question, what is your go-to post-show snack?
Well, in an ideal world, pint of cider at the pub.
Yes, absolutely. I need to premise this with, it's a given that a pint after a show is just the standard.
But if I've gone home, Nutella on toast.
Oh, good shout.
Just a bit of chocolate spread.
Yeah.
With the Lurpak layer as well. You need that. Just to make it nice and dangerously bad for you.
Why not? It can't be particularly healthy. I don't think anyone's said anything that's healthy at all. And I'm like,
there's no one going, oh, kale salad.
No, that even the dancers that I've chatted to are like, no, it's this and it. And I'm like, yeah, of course it is. That's grand. And our final question, what's the one thing that you know now that you wish you'd known starting out on your career that probably would have made your life a little bit easier?
Wish I'd known. Get into step training for them theatres. No. I think the advice that I would give would be to speak up. Of just, if there's something that you're like, this doesn't work, say, this doesn't work, why are we doing it this way? Ask the question, find out why things are happening and seeing if you can make it better. Mm-hmm. I think there's lots of things in theatre where go, oh, but this is just how we've always done it. And occasionally you get someone that's like, whether it's 19-year-old work experience coming in and going, but why are we doing it like this? And you suddenly go, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It's just the way we do it.
I think speak up and ask questions. That's just how we do it. It goes back to when, it was all sailors and the flies. That's why we do it.
Sailors
and this flies. Is Victorian practice and bears no relation to the automation currently happening all around us.
All the wonderful technology, but there's still some old school stuff going on. Just
speak up and ask questions is.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great bit of advice, and I think we're probably all guilty of not doing it at some point. Anna, this has been a pleasure chatting theatre with you. I think it's been great. Not on the West End's been a great success, and hopefully you can manage to keep it ongoing. I suppose that depends on if everyone else keeps things going, I suppose. I think it's going to be a case of how much I can get people to be reliable with sending me their information, so I can just do the admin around whatever I'm doing as well. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
It's all an admin job.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and best of luck with whatever happens with carrying it on.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you for listening to the Stage Is Yours podcast. Want to know more? then head over to all of our socials. You can find us at Stage Is Yours Pod, where you can catch a cheeky glimpse at some of our upcoming guests, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure that you never miss an episode. This has been the Stage Is Yours podcast, talking all things theatre and events. Until next time.